Thank you very much. Good afternoon, members, and welcome to the Planning and Regulatory Service Committee meeting, Wednesday, the 1st of May 24. Can I remind you that when speaking into your microphone, you need to wait until you see yourselves on the screen so that the live feed can pick up your comments. If you speak before your image is projected, those listening on the live feed will not hear anything that you say. This is obviously particularly important in the case of a vote being required. Audio recording is being used to assist in preparing the formal meeting minutes. Therefore, anyone participating in the meeting consents to being recorded and being live streamed on YouTube. Agenda item 1, apologies. No apologies. Okay. Item 2, declarations of interest. We can take them now or as we come across them during the course of the meeting. Agenda item 3, report from the Director of Regulatory Service, Facilities and Assets. Going to move on to 3.1, which is an item for decision. It is business plans 24-25. I'm going to bring in Damien Mulligan, Head of Planning, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members. This report sets out details of the business plans for the building control and planning departments for 24-25 business year and seeks member approval for both plans. The two business plans are aligned to the new corporate plan and are budgeted for as per approved estimates. Copies of the plans are attached at appendices 1 and 2, and Tom and I are happy to take any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Damon. Okay, members, over to yourselves. Any questions or queries? No. Okay, it's an item for decision. So can I get a proposal and seconder for the recommendation? Proposed by Alderman Wilson, second by Councillor Wilson. We all agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much, members. Move on to agenda item 3.2. Item for information for the year-end 23-24 progress report on business plans for planning and building control. I'm going to bring in Mr. Tom Lavery to present the report. Over to yourself, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members. In line with our performance management framework, the purpose of this report is to provide annual progress reports on the agreed business plans for building control and planning departments for the 2023-24 year. Within the reports, the rating has been applied in terms of progress against identified performance measures using the green, amber, or red. The overall performance and business plans are noted within the report. Where performance measures have not been fully achieved, a rationale is provided within the comment sections. The report also identifies factors which have played an influence and impacted on service delivery and actions and performance. If members have any queries in relation to the detail within the progress reports, Damien and I would be happy to take any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tom. Okay, members, for questions, queries, the lights are starting to build up here. So Alderman Wilson, you're first in. Over to yourself, please. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Chair. And I know we know the challenges that face planning in particular, and it's not a simple department, and there are just lots of pressures on. But I suppose just drawing attention to the 54% red, could we get a wee bit more of an understanding as to how we're going to try and reduce that in terms of, you know, getting more green or amber, to be honest? If maybe Damien could give us a wee indication. I know staffing has been, you know, difficult, you know, retaining staff getting trained up, moving on. You know, it's a moving feast, as the saying goes, but we get some just understanding of how we can take that forward to improve. That'd be great. And it's not a criticism of existing staff, because we know how hard they're working. They're snowed under completely.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And thanks, Alderman Wilson. Yeah, I suppose, look, I'll commence maybe with a bit of information around the greens, as a positive news. We have 11 performance measures, and 3 of those have come in green. And thankfully, they relate to processing of major applications, which are large-scale investment projects. which is great news for the borough in terms of bringing in investment, growth and jobs. And we're also green in terms of our planning enforcement, which is also a good news story as well. The other one relates to the implementation of the new IT system for planning, and look, members will be well aware of the challenges around implementing that and the impact it had on service delivery over the last 12 or 18 months. But those are green, which is good, good news. In relation to the 54% that are red, one of those is the local development plan. And we did hope that last business year that would have come forward for public consultation. There was slippage, and that was really down to the level of vacancy and absence within the local development team. It has had its challenges, but we do have it in the business plan for this year to come forward for public consultation by Q3. And so hopefully, you know, quite confident that will happen. Local applications is sitting in the red zone, mainly because, again, we have had a challenge with number of absences through the year. I think we had something like 5 long-term sickness absences through the year. We lost 3 or 4 staff to combination of private sector, local authorities on the other side of the border. You know, we have had our challenges around staff and retaining staff, and that has impacted on the local applications, which are the bulk of our work. They're the bulk of the applications. So the other areas that are red include the sickness management. Now that's in as red, but we're waiting on confirmation from Human Resources as to what the figures are. So that could potentially change, but at the moment it's sitting in the red zone. Just to touch a bit more as well, I suppose on the positives last year, we met 2 of the 3 statutory targets for planning. We did make progress in the local development plan. We didn't get it to the point that we hoped we would get it to, but we did make good progress in terms of developing the evidence base that we need to take it forward. And we also brought in somewhere close to £2 million in terms of planning income, which I think was a very, very good achievement. But we were impacted by, you know, what I mentioned there in terms of sickness, absence and vacancies. And also, I suppose what I would mention is, and this sounds strange, I suppose, because we're some way on from COVID, but the legacy of COVID and the backlog that built up from COVID, we had shifted a lot of that by the time we got to the implementation of the new IT system at the end of 2022, and then it set us back again. And so we're still trying to get our live caseload down, and until it's down to a much more manageable level, I suppose we'll see challenges around processing times of local applications. But look, I hope that answers your question. Alderman Wilson, happy to pick anything up there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damon. Alderman Wilson, do you want to come back in? Happy? Content? Thank you. Councillor Lavery, then Councillor Duffy, please. Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Damien. I suppose some of the points you touched on there were in relation to sort of staffing matters. You know, you said the situation has improved a bit. Could you go into a bit more detail in terms of what our vacancies are in the department at present and when those are hoped to be filled by? Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor Lavery. Yeah, we currently have 3 vacancies. 2 of those are local development plan team, and 1 is in admin. Sorry, in planning enforcement. And we are working closely with, obviously, with Human Resources to try and ensure that that those posts are filled as soon as possible. But you know, look, there are challenges, I'd have to say, in terms of finding the right staff with the right skills. We have had situations where staff have joined and quickly realised themselves, actually, on one occasion, that the job wasn't for them, and we lost them, and we're now in the process of trying to recruit again. But it isn't difficult. There's a lot of competition for staff out there at the moment, and I mentioned that earlier. You know, we have the Planning Appeals Commission in the private sector, and also some of the border counties in the south also competing for a number of our staff. So it is difficult at the minute, but we are working closely with Human Resources to try and ensure that those posts are filled with the right people as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Damon. Content. Thank you, Councillor Lovey and Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Chair. It's not so much a question, it's just to express myself and our party's thanks for all the planning committee, for all the reports and for everything you do. And what here in front of us, it takes time and effort as well as the other workload you have in front of you. So just like to say thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Duffy, and I think I'll echo that sentiment for the committee as a whole. And thank you very much for the due diligence as well that goes in ahead of that. Okay, members, that was just an item for information. So we're going to move on to agenda item 4, report from the head of planning. We have 2 items for information. 4.1 is an update on the planning applications caseload, and I'm going to bring in Damien again. Over to yourself, Damien. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, members, just a planning caseload update. So during the period 1st of April to 24th of April, the department issued 80 decisions, and we received 88 applications, which means that our current live caseload stands at 991. We're obviously working hard to try and drive that number down, as I mentioned earlier. So we're up slightly on last month. That mainly is attributable to the Easter holiday period, and we will obviously aim to try and drive the number down in the coming months. Just in terms of number of call-in requests, we had 1 over that period of time, 1st of April, 24th of April. So only 1 call-in request received. Thank you, Chair. Happy to take any questions or queries.
Thank you, Damon. Okay, members, over to yourselves. I want to bring in Alderman Wilson.
Yeah, thanks. It's one you maybe just can't answer, Damien, at the minute. But it's just around on-farm applications, and the way the standing ammonia advice has been suspended, and they're taking it on a case by case basis using another set of criteria. How many? I mean, that's probably preventing you from issuing decisions that normally you would have been able to issue. Does that affect many applications in this borough? And I know you maybe don't have the figures to hand, but if even you could let me know how many it affects, just in ABC, it would be really useful.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Alderman Wilson. Yeah, this is an ongoing issue. You'll know yourself, come back over the last number of years, there was at one point a difference of opinion and difference of approach being taken by the Shire Environmental Service, who reported in East Antrim and Dira. That has now seemed to resolve itself to some extent, and the approach now being taken by Dira is more of a site-by-site basis, so to apply a threshold for ammonia depending on the circumstances relating to that particular site. But it's a difficult issue. They are working, as we understand it, toward developing a protocol, as you probably know. But in the interim, that seems to be the approach that they're prepared to take. This ammonia issue tends to affect applications which involve sort of livestock buildings, also AD plants. In terms of numbers of those, happy to look into that to get a figure for you, Alderman Wilson. I wouldn't want to speculate what that number is, but I'll look into it and get back to you.
Thank you very much, Damien. Content with the comments, Sir Alderman Wilson? Thank you. And Alderman Kennedy, please.
Thank you, Chair. And just maybe keep me in on that too, Damien, for the close interest in agriculture and of it. Just if you copy it in, maybe even everybody wants copied in on it.
Okay, thank you. Duly noted. And no other comments. Okay, move on to 4.2. Northern Ireland Planning Stats 3rd quarter 2023-24. Stats Bolton going to bring in Mr. Damien Mulligan again to present the item. Over yourself, Damien. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Members, the report before you relates to the statistical bulletin published by Department for Infrastructure for quarter 3 of the 2023-24 business year. And it provides an overview of planning activity across all planning authorities and gives information on processing times and performance. Members, you'll note that in relation to the 30-week target for processing major applications, we were actually the fastest of the 11 councils with a processing time of 11.6 weeks, which I think you'll agree was a marvellous achievement by Sinead and her team. With regard to the 15-week target for processing local applications, we unfortunately missed the target with a processing time of 24 weeks, and that was primarily due to factors that I mentioned earlier. The processing time for local applications across the 11 councils actually ranged from 9.4 weeks to 44 weeks. And so we were actually positioned roughly midway within that range. And it's also worth mentioning that only 3 of the 11 councils managed to meet the target for processing local applications. With regard to enforcement members, this target is actually not reported on in the bulletin, as the data is currently unavailable. But from unofficial data sources, we understand that we are actually comfortably meeting that target. And so that is good news. Happy to take any questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damon. Okay, members, over to yourselves. Any questions or queries? No. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Damien. We move on to agenda item 5, which is a report from the head of building control. Members, before we move to report, I'd like to bring to your attention. Last night I was copied into an email which was sent to the head of building control around 6:30. The individuals wish to remain anonymous at this time. They have asked to meet with the head of department to discuss the dual language signage policy. They wish to express their views on the application which is before us this afternoon. So on that, I would like to propose that we go into confidential business so we can obtain some legal advice, please. Can I get a second there? Okay, second by Councillor Armstrong. Okay, thank you very much, members. We go into confidential business. Government Act. We will now be moving into confidential session of the council. This means that we'll be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ACT officers to please turn off the live feed and confirm with me when the confidential session of this meeting can proceed? Okay, Matthew, can you start the live feed? Thank you very much. Okay, members, can I, obviously you've heard what we were discussing in confidential business. Is going to open the floor to yourselves. Councillor Moutry, I'm going to bring yourself in.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I would just formally propose that we defer that to allow time for those discussions to take place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor, and Councillor O'Dowd, please.
Thank you, Chair. I would propose that we defer it for 1 month till the next planning committee meeting. And that would give plenty of time for the people to come forward.
Councillor, do you want to come back in with your, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Look, yes, just to make the situation a bit easier, more than happy to second that proposal. Yeah, and to allow that deferral to take place for 1 month.
Yeah. It can get really messy now, so yeah, would you be content to amend your proposal to come back within the month? Councillor O'Dowd, would you be content to second within the month? Okay, so can I have you that on the screen, please?
Yes, I'm happy to second as long as it's within the month.
Okay, thank you, members. Okay, so we have a proposal that we defer 5.1, which is the item for decision for dual language for 1 month, which is proposed by Councillor Moutry and second by Councillor O'Dowd. Have we all agreed? Agreed. Okay, thank you very much, members. And can we move on to agenda item 7, which is correspondence? We don't have any. Agenda item 8, any other relevant business? We don't have any. Okay, members, we're going to have a quick break and come back just 4:05 if we can be all seated for that time. Okay, to give yourselves 10 minutes rest. Okay, so see us all back then. Thank you, members. Item 6, can I ask ACD to please start the live feed? Thank you very much, Matthew. Okay. Going to move on to agenda item 6, applications for planning permission to be considered by the committee as per schedule of the planning applications. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the planning section of the Planning and Regulatory Service Committee. Can I please remind you that when speaking into microphones that you need to wait until you see yourselves on the screen so that the live feed can pick up your comments. If you speak before your image is projected, those listening on the live feed will not hear anything that you say. This is obviously particularly important in the case of a vote being required. Audio recording is being used to assist in preparing the formal minutes. Therefore, anyone participating in the meeting consents to it being recorded and being live streamed on YouTube. Also, during the course of the meeting, questions may be asked by councillors who are members of the Planning and Regulatory Service Committee, of planning officers, applicants for planning permission, objectors, and those speaking on their behalf. In doing so, councillors endeavour to ascertain the information when they feel is necessary to enable them to determine the application. However, members of the public should note that councillors will not reach a conclusion as to whether an application should be approved, refused, or deferred until the debate on the application has concluded. Members, Appendix 1, application number LS08 2021 09550 has been removed from today's schedule to allow 1 month for the applicant to submit additional information. Move on to Appendix 2, application number LS08 2021 0648F, and it's down for an approval, and I'm going to bring in Roisin Hamill, Principal Planning Officer, to present the report and PowerPoint presentation. Members, you'll also see there's an addendum report that has been circulated. Roisin, I'm going to find it. There you are. Over to you, Roisin. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This application seeks full planning permission for a change of use from dwelling to 6-bedroom house of multiple occupancy at 27 Tandragee Road, Portadown. Members will recall this application was previously presented to members at the Planning and Regulatory Services meeting in January with a recommendation to approve. At that meeting, it was agreed that the application be deferred for further information regarding the number of HMOs in the Tandragee Road, Thomas Street area of Portadown, and an assessment of the impact of the proposal on the character of the area. As set out in the addendum report, there are 23 existing and approved HMOs in the Thomas Street area. In assessing the impact of the proposal on the character of the area, officers have considered Tandragee Road area between Anna Bridge and Annadale Place. This area is predominantly residential with a small number of commercial properties. There's an existing HMO at number 23 Tandragee Road, which was the subject of an enforcement investigation. How this investigation has now closed as the breach is immune from enforcement action. Number 82 Tandragee Road is the subject of a live planning application for change of use to a HMO. As set out in the report, there are no external alterations proposed to the building. Having regard to the fact the site is located within a primarily residential area, there are no external changes proposed, and the proposal will retain the building in a residential use. Officers remain satisfied there will be no unacceptable impact on the character or visual appearance of the area, and officers are recommending that the application be approved. And I'm happy to take you through the slides again. And this gives you an idea of where we are in the general area. You can see Thomas Street to the north there, and the red arrow indicates where the application site is on the Tandragee Road. And this is an aerial view of the proposed site. You can see the application site outlined in red. And this is the site location plan with the application site outlined, submitted with the application. And this shows you where the current HMO application is and the adjacent application or the adjacent site on the which is a HMO on the Tandragee Road. These are the existing elevations and plans and the proposed plans. And as you can see, there's no external alterations proposed. There is one additional bedroom proposed on the ground floor. And this is a photograph of the site. That's the application site. That's the terrace dwelling outlined in red. That's just a view of the site from further up the Tandragee Road. And just a view from the other direction again on the Tandragee Road. This is Anna Business Centre, which is to the north of the site, just as you come round under the Anna Bridge on the Tandragee Road. This is a view of the parking area, which is located to the rear of 15C to 27 Tandragee Road. And this is a view of Lower Thomas Street, which has been identified as an area where there is potential parking. And there was a parking analysis submitted with the application, which identified that there was ample parking for the proposal in the area. This map just identifies where there was, whenever the surveys were carried out, where there was parking that was available for the proposal. And again, that's the parking analysis detailing where the parking was located and what was available on the days that the surveys were carried out. And that's just a synopsis of the findings of the analysis, which identified that there was 89 on-street car parking spaces. And when the surveys were carried out, 50% of them were available for parking in the area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Roisin. Councillor Lavery, do you want to come in, please?
Thank you, Chair. To declare, I wasn't here at the January meeting, so not able to take part in this one. Just for the record, thanks.
Duly noted, Councillor. I was just about to ask for that advice to come forward. Councillor Mutri, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, whenever this specific application was brought to the committee previously, I expressed my reservations about, or well, my concerns about both parking and congestion on the Tandragee Road, and as well, I think the impact, well, on the character of the area. Obviously, Thomas Street, which we're referencing quite a number of times here. There are 23 HMOs there. It is technically a different area, albeit very, very close. I suppose one question I have, we have in recent years there have been further HMOs obviously within Thomas Street. And I note that the parking analysis makes reference to parking on Thomas Street. That parking analysis took place in 2021, in September 2021, 3.5 years ago, nearly 4 years ago. Is it worth considering how many more HMOs there have been? How much more the parking has changed in that time, because that is quite a significant period of time since that was taken.
Roisin, are you able to? Sorry, I can't see it back there. Are you able to come in there?
Sure. Yes, it is a fair point. That analysis was carried out in 2021. I'm aware of at least 2 other HMOs that have been approved in Thomas Street in that area. However, I would point out that officers have visited the site on a couple of occasions and, have identified that there is parking available on the occasions that we've visited the site. I would also say that this is a 5-bedroom property. There is, in terms of parking standards, there is requirement for, I think it's 2.25 parking spaces. They're proposing 1 additional bedroom. So in terms of parking standards, that's only an additional 0.25 parking space that would be required under the parking standards. So that, coupled with the surveys that were carried out and our own observations, would lead us to the conclusion that parking is sufficient in the area to to address the proposal.
Thank you very much. Roisin, do you want to come back in, Councillor?
Yes, thank you for that answer. Can I just ask, is there any sort of specific protocol and on that time frame for when a parking survey can be done, should be carried out, and is there any scope for that to be for that to reoccur given changes in the area?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not aware that there is a protocol or that there is a time frame for when surveys have to be, a date for when they become out of date. Obviously this one was carried out in 2021. But like I say, our observations would lead us to, to the conclusion that there is parking available. But no, I'm not aware of any protocol as to when they become out of date.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I'm going to bring Councillor Duffy, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And on the same vein, could I ask Road Service, is there an accident report or, how many accidents have happened in that area over this last while? And why I'm asking this is, I know there's a housing executive just down off Anna Hill, and they're continuously complaining about sight lines coming out there in the mornings and in the evenings. And as I know at least 3 of the workers have had bad accidents trying to access out onto the Tandragee Road because of cars parked on it, because of bad sight lines. And I think this would actually only make it worse.
Hey, Councillor Duffy, I'm not aware of there being any specific accident history along that piece of road. The honest answer is I don't know. That's something we can find out. But your point about the difficulty with the visibility displays at the junctions, yes, there may well be an enforcement issue there. Of course, you're not allowed under the highway code to park within 15 metres of any public road junction. And if those are being encroached upon, that's something that should be reported to either the traffic enforcement or PSNI. I believe that there aren't any yellow lines along that stretch of road, and therefore it probably is something that should be reported to the PSNI. I don't think the traffic enforcement officers can control it unless it's marked with yellow lines.
I just know myself, I've asked for, to be surveyed, and there was nothing to do with the HMO or anything like that. But in the past, I've asked, can anything be done there? It's just sort of still waiting answers on that there query. So
Okay, members, any other questions or queries? Okay. No, going to move on to debate then. Members want to make their concerns or their feelings made known? No, okay. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. No, just a general comment. Yes, I've made my concerns known before as someone who would quite regularly frequent the area. I know at the lower side of the Tandragee Road, there are a number of developments. So any vehicles moving from the town centre to those developments, it's a very busy road, and at night, as we've alluded to previously, particularly when cars take up both sides of the road, this turns into a single lane traffic, which is a concern that I would have, certainly in road safety. And again, I have heard even within recent weeks that there have been minor accidents on this road. So I mean, I think even if there was, if members could be furnished with an accident report or something like to that vein, it would be very useful. But yes, I would just have those general concerns. Again, from looking closely at the parking survey, I note that yes, there was only 15% availability on the Tandragee Road. A lot of the scope for those, I think it was 89 spaces, was made up in the Anna Business Centre, places that are further away from it. So I would just have concerns about that, and I would just register that anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Moutry, and your concerns are duly noted. Any other comments, members? Okay. Move on to decision. I seek a proposer. Councillor Moutry.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I take on board that officers have visited the site since that survey took place about 4 years ago. However, I think it would be useful for members. It would be useful exercise for members to actually go and see it for ourselves to make a judgment on the congestion and the parking availability there. So that would be my proposal.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And Councillor Mulholland, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was just second Councillor Moutry's proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Mulholland. Councillor Moutry, can you just confirm or clarify the detail within your proposal? Is it for site visit as well as the information that you previously requested? I'll leave you.
Yes, it would actually be useful to attain an accident report from DFI if that were possible. But yes, a site visit specifically to look at congestion and parking availability on the Tandragee Road.
Thank you, Councillor Moutry, and the proposal is for site visit and the accident report from DFI roads, which is seconded by Councillor Mulholland. Are we all agreed, members? Agreed? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, members. Move on. Agenda item 3, application number LA08 2023-3090F. That's Kelly Brothers Limited, and it's an approval. I'm going to bring in Kyle Elder, Senior Planning Officer, to present the report on PowerPoint presentation. Over to yourself, Kyle. Thank you.
This plan application seeks full planning permission for the erection of 30 dwellings with solar panels, car parking, private and communal amenity space, landscaping, site works and access arrangements from Donard Few Road and Loch Brickland. The works also include the relocation of the speed ramp along Donard Few Road and the upgrade to the junction between Donard Few Road and Points Pass Road. The application is before you this evening as it attracts an objection from a statutory consultee, NI Water, and is recommended for approval. Officers have taken it, members have read the report and the addendum in full, and as such, this is a synopsis only. The site is located within the development limit of Loch Brickland on land zoned for housing, LD 04 Donard Few Road, as detailed in map number 2-08 Loch Brickland of the Banbridge Area Mourne Area Plan 2015. The development is considered to comply with all the key site requirements for this zoning. Officers raised no conflict between the proposed development and the Banbridge Area Mourne Area Plan or less PPS. Therefore, the proposal to develop the site for residential purposes is considered acceptable in principle. Regarding the proposed sign layout and amenity, officers raised no concerns for the reasons detailed in the report. The proposed density is considered to be acceptable for this area. It's lower than that in adjacent developments and meets the key site requirements. There's a minimum separation distance of 10 metres from the rear elevation of each proposed dwelling to the common boundary, and a minimum of 20 metres per dwellings back onto each other in accordance with creating places. Officers are satisfied that the proposed development would not unduly affect the amenity of any neighbouring property or development. Members are advised that in this instance, officers have raised no concerns regarding the policy provisions of PPS 7, the addendum to PPS 7, PPS 12 for creating places. The site will be accessed from Donard Few Road.
DFI roads have been consulted regarding the proposed access arrangements and raised no concerns in the context of policy AMP2 of PPS3. Roadworks also include the widening and provision of a new footway along the Donard Few Road, improvements to the existing priority junction between Donard Few Road and Points Pass Road, and a footpath link from the site to Points Pass Road and an existing footpath. DFI roads have raised no concerns with these arrangements. 61 encouraged parking spaces and 19 communal on-street visitor parking spaces are proposed, a total of 80 parking spaces within the development, and that meets the requirements of the parking standards document. As detailed in the report, in this instance, neither officers nor DFI roads have raised any concerns over the parking provision and are content that the proposed development accords with the SPPS and policies AMP2 and AMP7 of PPS3. The proposal was also accompanied by a drainage assessment, biodiversity checklist, bat survey report, landscape management and maintenance plan, and a tree constraints impact and protection plan. These documents have been appraised by officers in consultation with the relevant competent authorities who have raised no objections. As detailed in the report, the proposed solar panels are also considered acceptable in this instance with regards to policies RE1 and RE2 of PPS 18. NI Water in its consultation response advised that an assessment has indicated that there are capacity issues, and this establishes significant risks of detrimental effect to the environment and detrimental impact on existing properties. NI Water note that the downstream catchment is constrained by overloaded sewage infrastructure, including one or more downstream unsatisfactory intermittent discharges, which is causing a negative impact on the environment. These discharges are recorded at Newry Road, Banbridge CSO, which discharges into the River Bann. In keeping with a P reference 2021/A0231, confirmation has been provided from the agent that an engineering solution for the disposal of wastewater can be found. Accordingly, in line with this appeal decision, officers have recommended the inclusion of a negative planning condition prohibiting the commencement of any development until a wastewater impact assessment confirms that a sewage connection can be made or that alternative provision for the disposal of sewage is made, and this has been submitted to and agreed in writing with the planning authority. This would ensure that any concerns in respect of sewage capacity are properly addressed before the development can proceed. Members are advised that no letters of objection have been received regarding this plan application. So overall, officers considered the proposal to comply with the local development plan, the policy requirements of the SPPS, and all other relevant planning policies. And on that basis, approval is recommended for the reasons outlined in the report and subject to the conditions suggested in the report and the addendum. I'll just take you through the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so the site's located in the settlement of Loch Brickland towards the west of the settlement. Next slide then shows the site location plan with the sites outlined in red. Next slide shows an aerial overview of the site. So currently agricultural land, which is used for grazing. You can see just to the east of the site an existing housing development at Befana Heights. Just to the northeast of the site is a primary school, St. Francis Primary School. And opposite the site to the northwest is a Newbridge Integrated School. The next slide then just shows the site layout. So the site has one access point as required by the KSRs from the Donard Few Road, and this is a cul-de-sac style development with 30 dwellings. Next slide then just shows the landscaping plan. So along the southernmost boundary there is strong vegetation which is predominantly to be retained, where some of the trees have to be removed. As you can see in red, there is compensatory planting. Okay, most of the trees along the eastern boundary are to be retained. Along the northwestern boundary with Donard Few Road, to facilitate road widening and a new footpath along that full boundary running up to connect past St. Francis Primary School, it has been required to remove some of those trees, but there has been compensatory planting. And then along the northeastern boundary with St. Francis Primary School, it's proposed to put in a 3-metre buffer planting. Next slide then just shows variety of the different house types. You'll note that there's the solar panels and all the house types and the front elevations. Just run through the different house types. They're all in a different, generally finished either in brick or render or a mixture of both finishes in the next house type. And then just for all the detached house types, which we'll run through, there are handed versions of these house types as well. Yeah, the next slide then just shows the sections through the site. So the site, it is a sloping site, so it has been necessary for a retaining structure throughout the site, but there's one larger retaining structure through the site, which the two rows of dwellings back onto. So largely will be hidden from public view, and there is some hedging proposed along that retaining wall also, which will help soften the visual impact of it. The next slide then will show the first photograph. So just to the right, you can see the strong band of trees that are currently located along the southernmost boundary of the site, and then in front of you then Befennet Heights, the adjacent housing development. Next slide then, you can just appreciate the change in gradient on this particular site, and you can see St. Francis Primary School there in the background. Next slide, facing towards the northwest. To the left, you can see the band of trees along the southernmost boundary, and then in front of you, the trees that are having to be removed, but there will be compensated replanting. Then the next boundary is adjacent to St. Francis Primary School, so you can see the green fence, and there'll be a 3-metre buffer in this area, and then you can just see Newbridge Integrated School there just in front of you with the crane and the steelworks. Next slide then shows the Darnard View Road. So this is the road where those trees will be removed. The road will be widened. There'll be a footpath put in as well along that full boundary. The next slide then just shows the relationship with the school to the left and the site to the right. So it's an area of parking for staff that is immediately adjacent to the site. Next photograph then just shows the junction between the Donard View Road and the Points Pass Road. So this is the junction. It was one of the key site requirements in the plan was for the upgrade of this junction, which has been proposed, and the visibility will be increased as a result of those works. Next slide then just shows the southern boundary, and again those mature trees which are to be retained along that boundary. And then the final slide just shows an existing footpath along the Points Pass Road. So in the corner of the site, there's going to be a pedestrian access and footpath which will link into that footpath. And that is considered a betterment. I know some of the case officers have mentioned that present school kids would walk along the Points Pass Road, where you can see there's no footpath. It's a national speed limit, so they'll be able to access school using footpaths now through the development, which hopefully will be a safer arrangement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. And members, we have Mr. Bronte and Mr. Turley. Yeah, to make representation as the agent. Mr. Turley, you're on the right, my right, left. Sam, you're going to make representation. No worries, no worries. Thank you very much, and you're very much welcome. And you're aware that you have 3 minutes to make presentations. So, over to the other one. Is that it? Yeah, thank you very much, and over to yourselves, okay?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chair, members, thank you for the opportunity to address you this afternoon on behalf of the applicant Kelly Brothers Limited and in support of this application. My name is John Bronte from Turley, and I am joined today by my colleague Sam McKee. We welcome the recommendation for approval from the Council's planning team and the detailed consideration which the application has received, evident through the Officers Committee report which informs your consideration today. The committee report sets out how this scheme meets all relevant local planning policy and guidance, and critically how the statutory consultees have given due consideration to the proposals and identified no concerns, recommending planning conditions where appropriate. In respect to NI Water, good progress is being made through the wastewater impact assessment process to agree a foul connection for the development. A suitably worded negative condition is proposed, requiring the wastewater impact assessment to be positively concluded prior to the development commencing on site. There have been no third-party representations in respect of the application. The application represents a high-quality residential scheme comprising 20 semi-detached and 10 detached dwellings on a zoned housing site where all key site requirements have been met. The proposed scheme will provide an attractive living environment for prospective residents and has been sensitively designed with respect to the surrounding streetscape, natural environmental context, and the amenity of existing residents and surrounding land uses. Respecting the established built context, all dwellings are proposed to be 2 stories in height with material treatments sympathetic to the local area. Private amenity space, communal open space, and a full standard of parking are provided in accordance with creating places. Construction is scheduled to commence in July 2024, subject to the discharge of all relevant pre-commencement conditions. The proposed development will sustain approximately 25 to 30 jobs during its construction period and comprises an overall investment by Kelly Brothers of £7.5 to £8 million. Members, I do not wish to absorb any more of your time and rehearse the detail comprehensively captured in the committee report and presented by Mr. Elder. We would like to take this opportunity to thank the Council's planning team, and particularly Mr. Elder and Mr. Turkington, for their proactive engagement through the planning process. We would be happy to seek to answer any questions that members may have, and we respectfully request that the committee endorse the planning team's recommendation for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Yep, members, over to yourselves. Any questions of Kyle or of the agent? No questions. Kyle, gonna ask a couple of wee questions. So it's sort of in the southern end, there's a strip of green. Just sort of wondering, because that leads down to the gap down onto the main road. I'm just wondering, when you were, Kyle, you had mentioned there about sort of the access for the school kids to come through. I'm just wondering sort of who's going to be responsible for the upkeep of that. Is that going to be a management company, or is that going to be DFA road or shells, or who's going to be sort of looking after that? If you can. And then the other one is the buffer zone between at the north, between the school and sort of the houses in the north. I'm just sort of wondering what type of buffer zone that's going to be and what is that going to look like. Thank you.
Yep, the strip along the bottom, first of all, it isn't part of an open area of open space, and then the ramp down to the footpath that should be created is within that open space, so that'll be managed then by the landscape management company. Along the buffer, there's a number of different trees and different shrubs proposed in that, and within the landscape plan, there's different standards that are applied. So there'll be some that will be put in at a lower height, say maybe of a meter initially, and then some that will maybe be up to, I think, 4.5 meters in height as well. So there's a bit of variety there. So it won't just all be young, very young specimens there. That will be, so that'll hopefully help it to integrate and grow and serve its purpose.
I appreciate that, and thank you. And sort of who will be managing that tree line? I'm just sort of surmising in about 10-15 years for the local councillors, when they're getting complaints about who's sort of responsible for trimming them down. Is that the same? Is that the management company, or is that sort of the residents themselves or the school?
Yep. So again, because it's within, because it's within the area of open space, that'll be the responsibility of the management company to manage that tree line.
Many thanks, Ken. Okay, members, any other questions? No. Okay, move on to comments or queries, or want to debate. So with yourselves, Councillor Wilson, Councillor Lavery, please.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Yes, just looking at the site plan and design of houses, seems to be a very well thought out development. And with the two local schools, St Francis and the New Bridge, which is being, their new school is being under construction at the moment, I would say these houses will be very popular within the area. It's good to see the existing hedgerows being maintained, those mature trees and stuff being maintained within the design. Also, the footpath out onto the Points Pass Road. I have a few concerns raised by residents and children going to the two local schools, using the Points Pass Road going into the village. It's a dangerous road. There's a lot of traffic on it, and I've seen numbers of children walking on it myself, and it is quite dicey for them. Plus, the way access footpath that's going to be installed, any young families will be residing within the development. It gives them safe access just round the corner into the play park. So it seems to be a very well thought out design. So it definitely ticks a lot of boxes for myself. Thank you, Chair.
And what scope for mentioning off school there, so there's not. Councillor Lavery, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Kyle. Again, just want to commend Echo and agreement the comments about this footpath link. I think it's quite transformational for Loch Brickland, because you connect up at Bovanet Heights, if I'm pronouncing that right, to the rest of the village. Essentially, it seemed to be cut off in terms of any safe footway link, both to the schools and just in general. So now you have the situation where people from Bovanet Heights will be able to go up there to the likes of St Francis and Newbridge School. You also have the opportunity for St Francis and Newbridge students to, go through the new housing development, use that footpath link on the Points Pass Road and go down in Loch Brickland Park safely. Given opportunities there for teachers to incorporate that into their plans. So although this application's in the minor category, if you like, in terms of a plan application, I think it will have quite a positive major impact on Loch Brickland Village as a whole. So I think it's a no-brainer that we approve it today.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery, and it helps, it explores for the schools to be able to even go for walks down, and even for local residents to go for a big walk in a big loop. Any other comments? Yep, move on to decision. Can I move on for a proposer of sorts? Councillor Wilson, please.
Thank you, Chair. Happy to propose a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson, and Councillor Lavery.
I'll second that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So proposed by Councillor Wilson that we go with the officer's recommendation, second by Councillor Lavery. We all agreed? Agreed. Thank you. And thank you very much, gents, for your time here this afternoon. Thank you, Kate. Okay, members, moving on to Appendix 4, application number LS08-2024-0170F, and it's a DFA Southern Roads Division, and it's down for approval, and I'm going to bring in Nicola Craney. But before bringing Nicola, I'm going to bring in Councillor Lavery, then Councillor O'Dowd. Councillor Lavery, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just to declare an interest, I think when the bridge was demolished, there was a debate in this chamber and a call for the speedy return or replacement of the bridge at that time. Been advised that could be seen as predetermination in terms of this application, so I've been advised to just declare that and not take part in this application today, Chair. So I'll just do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. Duly noted. And Councillor O'Dowd, please.
Thanks, Chair. I'd just like to declare a non-pecuniary interest in this.
Duly noted, Councillor O'Dowd. Okay. Okay, over to yourself, Nicola. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This application was submitted by the Department of Infrastructure, DFI Roads, and it's been presented to Council as the Council own a section of land where the bridge connects. The application is seeking full planning permission for pedestrian and cycle bridge at Moylin to connect Drumgore and Legahorry to Craigavon Lakes, the South Lakes Leisure Centre and onwards. There was a bridge at this location until 2023 and it was removed due to health and safety issues. The design specification and details of the bridge are set out within the planning report. The application was supported by a biodiversity checklist and preliminary ecological appraisal, a transport assessment, and an outline construction and environmental management plan. In terms of the principle of development, the main planning policies are Set 1 of the Craigavon Area Plan 2010, key stage requirements of the South Lake Zone A, as well as policy OS 1 of PPS 8, open space sport and outdoor recreation. The proposal meets all of the relevant requirements, and this has been considered again in full within the planning report. The report also has considered design, layout and landscape treatment, any impact on natural heritage and traffic and access. Shared Environmental Services have advised that given the distance of designated sites to the location of the proposed site, it will cause no disturbance to features of Lough Neagh and Lough Beg, Ramsar and SPA. There are no objections raised by any of the consultees, DFI Roads, NIEA Natural Environment Division, NIEA Water Management, DFI Rivers and Shared Environmental Services. There has been one representation received in support of the application, and the recommendation is to approve and conditions are set out in the planning report. And I'll just go through the presentation. So you can see the site, it's close by, it's just on the other side of the leisure centre and just along the main road. Next slide, please. This is an aerial then, just showing you exactly where the location is. There's a better aerial in the next shot. Next slide, please. Yeah, you'll see you can see the line of where the old bridge is. It's in the same position. Next slide, please. So it's a photograph of the demolished bridge and it's a new replacement in exactly the same position. Next slide, please. This is site location plan. Next slide, please. The proposed layout, which will have pedestrian and cycle access. Next slide, please. A section of the proposed and the elevation. Next slide, please. There will be abutments which are going to be reinforced to each side to be able to hold the bridge. Next slide, please. Just a view of the site then looking towards along the road. I've just put in the image of what the bridge looks like just to try and give an idea for illustration. Next slide, please. Again, that's from the other direction. So many of you will have travelled along this road, especially to come here, possibly tonight. Next slide, please. As you can see, then that's the sides then of the bridge where it actually then abuts the banks. Next slide, please. And there are existing paths which it will join. Next slide, please. That's the pedestrian access down then to the bus stop, which remains through this application is unaltered. Next slide, please. I think that completes the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicola. And members, we have Mr. Alan McMurray, Principal Engineer from DFA Roads, who's here to make representation as the agent in support of the application. Alan, very welcome. You, as you know, you have 3 minutes, so whenever you start talking, the clock goes. So over to yourself. I'm trying to find it here, wrong one. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
There you go.
Thank you, Chair. As I say, my name is Alan McMurray. I'm the Network Maintenance Manager for DFI Roads Southern Division. As part of my role, I'm also responsible for about 1,380 structures within the division. I suppose firstly, we would welcome the approval recommendation here today, and I would thank the committee for their opportunity here to address the meeting today. As you know, I've been told there, the proposal before the committee is for a combined pedestrian and cycle bridge to replace Moylan Footbridge, which was demolished in March 2023. The design for the proposed replacement bridge is based on a common standard approach and provides an economical yet functional structure which will restore the off-road pedestrian cycling link between Craigavon Park, the lakes, and the wider Legahory Drumgore area for many years to come.
I am content to try and answer any questions or queries which the committee has. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Alan. And okay, members, over to yourselves. Any questions of the officers or Alan? Or if you, Councillor Duffy, please name the Vice Chair.
Thank you for your presentation. And I know, do you envisage much road closures while the installation of the bridge is taking place?
To be honest, not really. The bridge itself will be largely fabricated off-site. It'll be brought to site and sort of lifted into place. Because we already have a dual carriageway, we'll probably have a lane closed and sort of the inside lane, if you like, for a period of time to construct the abutments, but generally very limited in terms of closures and whatnot. So, fairly straightforward, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. And how long would you consider that it would take from start to finish once you're on site?
Well, I suppose it depends on a number of factors, but roughly 3 months probably from start to finish.
Yep, many thanks. And Alderman Kennedy, please.
Thank you, Chair. You sort of asked my question there. But the bridge is just a like for like. It's something similar to the old bridge, same width and so on, is it?
It's actually a slightly wider bridge. The previous one was about 3.5 meters wide. This is 4. The previous bridge was precast concrete. This is steel, but apart from that, pretty similar in terms of scale anyway.
Seem very different. Thank you very much. Okay, members, any other questions? Can move on to debate. Any comments? Councillor Duffy, please.
Yes, I'll probably speak on behalf of a few councillors that are left and that are not on this committee, and they're looking forward. They were very vocal, was taken away, and they're really looking forward till the installation of it again, and if passed. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. And Councillor Donnelly, please.
Just see the approach roads to the bridge there. Will they do anything out there? Well, it looks a real mess. With moss and things that they're going to tidy that up a bit.
Is the maintenance team going to come down and give the place a bit of a clean up? The sort of the pathway, as you can see in the approach in the photographs, weren't sort of in good condition.
No, well, we'll certainly, as part of the scheme, or possibly shortly afterwards, we'll certainly take a look at the approaches and what needs done to try and tidy the thing up. There will be, I suppose, a bit of work required at each end of it to, to change bits and pieces of levels and what like. So, yeah, there'll be a bit of work done, but I can't promise how far we'll go beyond that.
Thank you. Content, Councillor Donnelly? Yep, okay. No other lights on, okay, members, move you on for a decision, please. Councillor Duffy and then Alderman Kennedy. Councillor Duffy, go ahead.
Yes, I'll just oppose the recommendation. Sure.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy and Alderman Kennedy, please.
Thank you, Chair. I have no problem second or recommendation. This is just quite literally a like for like replacement, so I'm happy enough to second.
Okay, members, we have a proposal by Councillor Duffy that will go with the recommendation, second by Alderman Kennedy. We all agreed? Agreed. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nicola, and thank you very much, DFA Roads, for your attendance here this afternoon. Okay, members, moving on to Appendix 5 and 6. We're going to take these two together. However, we will need to sort of separate them when we come to the proposals. Yeah. And we're going to bring in Trudy. He's been waiting patiently over here. Over to yourself, Trudy. Thank you.
Thank
Do
you,
you want to
Chair.
just hold on 2 seconds to let the members take their seats? Thank you.
These applications seek full planning permission and listed building consent to replace an existing boiler plant within the Armagh County Museum building with a new gas-fired boiler installation located in a workshop space on the ground floor at the rear of the building, and provision of a new boiler flue installation along with the removal of external windows and replacement with metal grills for ventilation purposes. The applications are before you this evening as they've been submitted by the council. As detailed in the report circulated, the site is located within Armagh City Centre and within Armagh Conservation Area. The museum is a listed building and therefore listed building consent is required for the works to replace the boiler and associated flue and grills, while planning permission is required for the flue and ventilation grills. Officers in consultation with HED are content that the proposal will not have an adverse impact on the listed building. And given the location of the flue, officers are content that the proposal will not have an adverse impact on the conservation area. Separation distance from the proposed flue to the nearest residential property means that officers in consultation with environmental health are of the opinion that there will be no loss of residential amenity as a result of this proposal. Members are therefore advised that no objections were received in relation to either application and that all consultation responses were favourable. On this basis, officers recommend that both plan permission and this building consent be granted. And I'll just take you through the slides, please. So this is our site location plan. We're just off the mall in the centre of Armagh. That's our location within the general area. And our aerial photograph. So the site is at the rear of the building. In the next slide, please. This is taken from the mall east shown the front, just to give anybody an idea who's not familiar with the building, what it looks at from its front elevation. And the next slide, please. So this is from Charlemagne Gardens. So we're working our way around the side. The next slide, please. This photograph is taken from Charlemagne Gardens, showing the rear elevation. One window beside the blue box, which is a temporary boiler, will be replaced with a metal grille. And if you just see the next slide, please. This is what it looked like before the temporary boiler was put in place. Next slide, please. So this is looking back towards that entrance. Next slide, please. Now, from this elevation, the flue will be going up that elevation that you can see with the gable end to it that you won't see from the public road. This access, or the photographs taken from an access point that leads into 9A Charlemagne Gardens. Next slide, please. And these are 3 photographs showing the alleyway. You can see a pipe running in through a window, and that's where the flue will come out that window, and the rest of the window will be replaced then with a grille for ventilation. Next slide, please. And again, these photographs are taken to show the relationship with 9 Charlemagne Gardens, which is the white house just to the left of the top photo. And then the bottom photo is looking in the other direction. So as you can see, there's about a 2-metre high stone wall there. So they won't be affected in terms of where the flue is going. They shouldn't really see it. Next slide, please. So these are the proposed floor plans showing where it's going and the relationship between the works inside and outside. And the next slide, please. These are our proposed elevations. So you can see that the green highlights the 2 grills that are to go in place, and then the flue and the bottom left elevation. And that should be us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tree. Okay, members, the floor is open to yourselves for any questions or comments. Yeah. As there's nothing on the floor at the minute, okay, if there's any proposals, we'll get there and we'll take Appendix 5 first. Okay. We're over to debate. Any comments? Councillor Armstrong, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just going through it, you know, happy enough with this. It seems to be more of a tidying up exercise and getting rid of the big blue, you know, temporary boiler and putting it inside and with the flue going up it. So I think it's sort of, it makes sense. Probably easier for the museum to manage it, and it's probably nicer to look at for general public walking down there, because I know it's opposite that is the access to the Royal School Armagh. So like, I think it's fairly elementary that, you know, this is a application that probably needs done, and I'm happy to support it when we get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Trudy, do you want to come in there for a comment?
Maybe just to clarify, the existing boiler broke down before the winter. That temporary one is only there from the winter because of the situation. So the proposal isn't necessarily to replace the temporary one, it's to replace the broken one. The temporary one's just there as a makeshift. Thank you.
And then Councillor Armstrong. Yep. And Councillor O'Dowd, please.
Sorry. Yes, I'm happy enough to second that. I totally agree with Councillor Armstrong. It makes sense and it would tidy the place up.
Councillor and Alderman Kennedy, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for letting me in. Just still same along lines as Councillor Armstrong, and it'll be probably more energy efficient for new boilers, and it'll be a no-brainer just for everything progressing on. So it'll probably help with running costs and so on and so forth. So I'm happy enough to be in support of it.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Okay, members, go to Appendix 5. Can I seek a proposer and seconder of sorts? Okay, Councillor Armstrong, then Alderman Kennedy. Councillor Armstrong, go ahead.
Happy to propose, Chair.
Yeah, proposed of the recommendation. Okay, and Alderman Kennedy.
Happy to second the officer's recommendation.
Okay, members, for Appendix 5, your proposal by Councillor Armstrong, second by Alderman Kennedy. Are we all agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. Move on to Appendix 6. Can I get a proposer of sorts? Councillor Donnelly? And then Councillor. Thank you very much. Councillor Donnelly proposed the officer's recommendation, and Councillor Armstrong, please.
Yes, and I second the officer's recommendation.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Okay, proposed by Councillor Donnelly, second by Councillor Armstrong. The officer's recommendation. You all agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much, members. Members, that's us finished. This is my last one up here. Although I am sort of the chair for until sort of I hand over the rein. I wish to thank all the planning officers. Massive thank you for all the work that you've done over the course of the year. As well as I'll give the directors a wee bit of a nudge as well, and the regulatory services, Tom and all his team. Massive thank you to everybody, as well as Democratic Services, and notwithstanding our legal advice here coming from Anne. So massive thank you very much to everybody, the team around it, and equally to yourselves. I appreciate it. It's probably one of the hardest committees, and we have went sort of round a corner from being able to sit at home and dial in and be able to give your concerns that way. But equally, at the minute we're back in. So hopefully, who knows when the legislation is going to change. So we're going to bring in Alderman Wilson and then Councillor Lavery. Alderman Wilson, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It's just to put on record my thanks to you. You've been a great chair once again. Took us through the whole year smoothly, and I know there's a few curveballs along the way and plenty of detailed meetings, and I suppose people that haven't been chair, they don't see the work that goes on behind with meetings and pre-meetings and phone calls, and that's not straightforward sometimes, but you've handled it really well. Commend you for it and wish you well as you step down and come back on the benches with the rest of us. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman. And if you're sitting up here and you're sitting watching a screen flicking at you for 3 hours, it does get you a bit annoying. Anyway, Councillor Harvey, please.
Yeah, Chair, thank you. Just to place my own thanks and record to yourself and to the Vice Chair for the last year. Plan committees, it's a tricky one at the best of times to chair, just due to the length of meetings and the various complexities involved in legal advice and the amount of planning cases that come to committee, and the fact that you have to have 2 pre-meetings and everything to get on top of it before. So just thank you for the last year, and best of luck to whoever's coming in next year as well. Thank you.
It definitely does come round fast, though, indeed. Councillor Wilson, then Councillor Duffy. Councillor Wilson, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to congratulate you on your year as Chair of the Planning Committee. Handled it extremely well. It's a bit of a hot potato at times, but yeah, as usually handled it extremely well. So we're good to see, as Alderman Wilson says, back on the benches here, and I'm sure you're a bit of relief in that point. So well done, and thank you for that, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back down there and giving the next year's chair a bit of a hard time. Don't worry, I won't. Councillor Duffy.
Yes, Chair, on behalf of our party, I'd like to thank you for the year ahead. You've let everybody had their say. A lot of times you've let people in. You've been very fair. You've been straight right down there. So on behalf of us, I've never sat up there for planning committee. I've been up there for a few other committees, but so thank you for you and your deputy chair. I don't know whether the deputy chair actually got a chance to chair full plan committee, but he probably will in the near future.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy, and thank you for your comments. Yeah, the deputy chair did get a wee hint at it there not so long ago. And Alderman Kennedy, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to put my comments on record. Thank you very much. It's a wee bit like a tandem bicycle. I sat in the back and didn't do much paddling. The chair was always fit the 10 here and keep the show on the road. So I'd like to thank him for that. He left me an easy touch.
Thank you very much, Alderman, and just to thank yourself and Alderman Wilson as well for jumping in whenever I had to step out. I'm not forgetting our ICT officers down the back for last month, even with the spare batteries. So every little helps. So thank you, members. Safe home. Okay, and thank you. Bye bye.